C1music.fm, Real Talk Radio. You know how we do. This is your boy Deuce. We definitely in the building. I got my special panelists in the building right here. I'm gonna give them an opportunity to shout their names out. And today we're gonna jump on a topic that I think is interesting about things that are going on in the world, news-wise and everything. So, before we jump into our topic, which the topic title is "Who's Watching the Watchers," I'm gonna let my two specialists here get into who they are, where they from, and then we're gonna jump into this. I'm gonna start with you, Apple. Talk to us.
Hi.
Say
Hi,
who you
everyone.
are, Apple. Yeah, let everybody
Yeah.
let the people know who you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm Apple and I'm from the Philippines. So, yeah, I am representing all the Filipinos out there. Hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone.
That's what's up. And on the other side, I got my specialist here, Charity. Talk to us, Charity.
Hi everyone, I'm Charity from Nigeria, from Africa. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending wherever you're watching or join us as we unravel this discussion. Thank you.
All right, check this out. This is what the topic is about, talking points. Again, the title is Who's Watching the Watchers? All right, for this episode, the podcast reviews the unprecedented dominance of major tech companies, the global antitrust scrutiny they face, and the diverging approaches taken by countries to address these challenges. So we're going to talk big tech like Apple, Google, Meta, who runs more and more of our daily lives. They have given us incredible tools, often for free, but their power has sparked a global debate. Are they winning because their products are just that good, or because they've crushed the competition? Around the world, governments are stepping in with antitrust cases. And the big question is, will regulation protect innovation and choice, or break apart systems that many people rely on every day? And so Apple, Google, Meta, they just don't dominate one market. They control the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
Their power comes from what we call a flywheel effect. The more users they get, the stronger their platforms become, and the harder it is for anyone else to break in. They dominate mobile, OS, app stores, search and ads, social networks, and they all have their own ecosystems. All right? So the question isn't just how big these companies are, it's how deeply their power is built into our daily lives. So I want to ask this question first, and I let one of you two respond right away. Are these ecosystems serving consumers or trapping them? Are Apple, Google, Meta giving us a choice, or are they locking us into a digital monopoly? Who want to tackle this one first?
Let me go first.
Go ahead. Talk to us.
Okay, the terms of monopoly, I will say yes because of wider usage. So they have been in the market and a lot of people accepted the platform. So it's non-difficult, and a lot of features they included made it very easy for people. The interface, the features that are there made people to, accept it widely. So coming up with other companies, it will be a big challenge for them. Just in terms of business-wise, education, these people have done so well. At least, like you said, the Google Ads and all that, you can push your market there, you can push your brand there through all these means. So I don't think there's new thing upcoming companies will like to add that these people don't have already. Even as the day is going by, they're advancing more. So for a new startup to meet up, it will take a lot of time, or it might not even reach half of what they dream of.
Okay, Apple, what about you? What you think?
Well, for me, I couldn't agree more because, not for now is the biggest companies like Meta, like Apple, like Google, every every day they are using them. We are using them. So we have the dependence on their technologies. They actually shaping the also the opinions and the cultures of the of a country. For example, like we are in a third world country now, right? So uh that companies like Meta, like Google and Apple, they also uh engage to us, and their algorithm decide on what we can see. They are shaping the news. They are shaping the entertainment. For example, the viral trends, uh, like the recent election here in the Philippines, they also monopolize, I can say, the misinformation. If someone did, you know, had a bad intention and got, monopolize the, or wanted to uh have a uh it, something like advantage to their, politics. Of course,
Right.
we really don't. That's why, well, I wanted to engage more of um the technologies, but sadly also the censorship of the technologies is, they also, we cannot we can't decide for that also. So even when the kids are using Facebook, Meta, Google, they don't have filter to that.
So
So
are you saying, do you feel trapped by these companies?
I can say yes, because we don't have that decision, that we need to filter out those information for our little kids. For me as a mom, I wanted to have a decent videos that my daughter can see, or the others other information that, that has sensor. Since they are monopolying it, and we don't have control to that, that's really a problem in the near future.
I got you.
And yeah.
Let me say this. First, Jocelyn, welcome to the show. Why don't you just tell us who you are real quick and where you're from?
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. I just can't into the studio room correctly, so I'm late. Sorry for guys. Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm Jocelyn, and I'm 24 years right now, and I'm from Taiwan.
nice. I want to say this episode actually was the idea of this show, or this episode is actually Jocelyn's idea conversation. So, shout out to Jocelyn for coming up with this topic. Jocelyn, did you hear the actual? I know you didn't get a chance to hear the whole opening, but the question was: are these ecosystem serving consumers or trapping them? Are Apple, Google, Meta giving us a choice, or are they locking us into digital monopolies? What is your opinion on it?
Mm, I think like that's a trap actually. Because excuse me, can you say the question again? I kind of forget it.
Nah, the question is, are these ecosystems serving consumers or trapping them? Are
Mm,
Apple, Google, and Meta giving us a choice, or are they locking us into digital monopolies?
yes. Okay, so my answer is yes. I think they trap us. Just like the opinion I heard about um I'm sorry, the last ladies, and
Apple, yeah.
I have the same feeling about it, because in my personal experience, I do think that my life is being affected by digital, like social media, like really serious in a serious situations. For example, if I have to do something, if I have to do in college, if I have to do my homework, and the first thing I'm going to do is to search the right information on the internet, any platforms like Google's or any platforms that you can search for information, even threads, because it's a popular thing in Taiwan. So sometimes I will search what I need on threads. So it takes a lot of time. And besides that, the function social media is being created is that they want us to spend more time on it. That's the purpose of it. So if we use them regularly, the more time we spend on this, and they achieve their goals, and we only have a little time to do what we're gonna do. So if without the internet, maybe I can just do my homework in 30 minutes. But in nowadays, I have to finish like a simple coursework in maybe at least an hour. It's not a fault of social media. I wouldn't blame the total fault on it, but I do step in the trap that they made for me. So that's what I thought.
All right, so Charity, I'm coming back to you on this question because you and you ladies all pretty much similarly had the same answer. But I want to ask, say, Charity, I'm asking you first. Like Apple and Jocelyn were saying that, especially Jocelyn just now, she said that she tries to do her homework and everything, and then she has to search and use social media and all this other stuff, and it could be a distraction, and so on and so forth. My question, because I'm asking this too, because I come from an older generation, and when I was coming up, social media wasn't that prevalent back then. It is now, and it's in everybody's lives and stuff now. And I'm admitting that even now, to a certain degree, it's in my life. But when I was in school, when I was coming up through high school and things of that nature, it wasn't that important at that time. So my question to you, Charity, is: don't we have a choice not to use these platforms and things of that nature? I think if we're choosing to be a part of these platforms, then that's one thing. But if we got a choice not to use these platforms, wouldn't the responsibility be on us?
Okay, coming from the last thing she said, I disagree with that, though that is our personal view. Since the emergence of the internet, I think if I'm doing a research or writing an assignment, it takes me fewer time because I don't need to go and open book, go to library, do this, go even out of my house to come make that research. In comfort from my zone, I can open my system, Google, ChatGPT has even made everything very easy for us. We can even like on social media, but it doesn't consume much time from me, as you said. Then coming from your own question, yes, we have the choices to make. I don't need to, we are not going to blame them or blame anybody because I believe as an individual, whatever you are doing as an adult, you have to live up to it. The decision you're making, the choices you are making is up to you. So you don't need to blame anybody for it. If you are caught up in a crime, in Nigeria, once you're up to 18 years, you will face the law. They will say ignorance is not an excuse. So in the sense that all these things are there, you have the right not to use them. You have the right to use them. So it boils down to you. What do you want? What do you really want to do with your time? Or what do you want to do with all these things? There are people that are not on social media and they're living. There are people that don't even know that TikTok is existing, Facebook is existing, all these things, but they're still living their normal life. So I think it's a personal thing.
Got you. Jocelyn, what's your response to that, being that we are saying you have a choice? And you also said it's not only on these platforms, you also have to take some responsibility yourself. What is your response to that?
I think that I kind of agree with this appointment, but I have to say that I do this without choices. Can I say this? Because the internet, the system making us to find information that we want, they made it so complicated. For example, recently Google just launched a new function, is their AI Gemini, and they promote a new function is they put the answer of a Gemini on the top of searching bar. For example, before that, we type something that we want to know the answer, what is the color of anything, and enter, and we have to find the answer by ourselves. But nowadays, Gemini put the answer on the top of the bar, so we can know the answer in the first moment. But sometimes AI do make some mistakes. So if we have to know the answer correctly, especially when we are doing a really important assignments, we have to check the information double. So that will make double time to finish it.
Gotcha. Apple, do you agree with that? Because also, yeah, Google will, in the beginning, like when you open up and you ask a question, Google will suggest an answer from AI, but you do still have the choice to pay attention to it or not. Like it's not, even though it's there, it's not forced upon you from the standpoint that you got to use that answer. So, Apple, what is your response to that?
Well, technically, do we have a choice to not use the global tech? Technically, yes, and practically, no. So I have two answers. So, number one, yes, you cannot use those social medias, those Facebook, those Instagrams, those TikTok, those X. But avoiding Google or any big company like Microsoft, Apple, it for now it is almost impossible because the power of these most engines and devices are really big, and it has a really impact in our everyday lives. For example, my work and my education. So I am working through online, and I am uh, taking my master's online. So I am taking those degrees. I am earning money because of those Google, those Microsoft, the Google Workspace, Zoom, Slack, Teams. For the school, we have Google Classroom, Microsoft Office. So technically, these companies add more to you as a person. But in social connection, you have the option to not use it. Okay. So practically,
So, how is it a
you
trap?
can, yeah, practically you can see the answers why when you ask the AI or the Google or everything. But you that's the easiest. So that's the technique, that's the AI now, that's the technologies now. In one click we have the answer. But that's practical because we save our energy, our time, our money. But you have the option to look for it, for like for example, if you wanted to for it for the books in the library, you have the option to do that. Okay, you have the option to not rely on those big companies and do the manual. But it's up to you. You have the option, you have the choice. So yeah, I think it's a yes and a no.
All right, all right, I hear you. I want to give, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Kathy. She's in the building with us today. Kathy, I'm gonna give a quick rendition of you, Kathy, real quick. Kathy is from Kenya. She used to be my old assistant. Used to also, actually, she used to be the head person for this particular show, Real Talk, before I change it up to what it is today. But I want to thank you, Kathy, for joining. And Kathy, I don't know if you heard the conversation, but we are talking about the theme of the show is who's watching the watchers. We're talking about big tech. The question was, are these ecosystems serving consumers or trapping them? Are Apple, Google, and Meta giving us a choice? Or are they locking us in to digital monopolies? I'm going to move on to my second question, and I want you, Kathy, to start us off and answer both of those questions, all right? So the first question is, are these ecosystems serving consumers or trapping them? All right, are companies like Google, Meta, Apple giving us a choice, or are they locking us into monopolies? And my second question that I want you to spark us off with is, should government step in and break up this dominance? And if so, would that hurt innovation?
Well, to answer the first question, Google isn't giving us much of a choice because every time you go Google something, they always put an AI thing there, and most of us don't give another attention to anything. We just look at it and just pick the first suggestion that it gives us. So it's like they are not giving us much of a choice to choose
All right,
anything.
let me stop you. Let me stop you real quick, and I'm gonna let you. I'm coming back to you to answer the second question, but I'm gonna pose this because everybody is saying the same thing. So I want to say, Charity, answer this for me. Why are y'all acting like Google is the only search engine or the only browser that you have out there to use? If you feel like Google is invading what you're doing, then use Microsoft, use Safari, use Firefox, use something else. Yeah, like I don't know if I agree with the trap aspect of it. I do think that if you're using their technology and you're using what they do, I don't have a problem from a business standpoint with them being able to push certain things in front of you because you're using their platforms. But I don't know if I would agree and say it's a trap, being that you have the option to download a different browser on your computer and use something totally different. You don't have to use Google. You can use Firefox. I actually have 3 browsers on my computer as of right now. You can use Microsoft Edge. You can use something totally different. You know what I mean? It's your choice. But if you choose to use whatever you're using, I don't know if you should have the right to complain about it. You know what I mean? To a certain degree. Now, that's just my personal opinion. But Charity, actually, I want Kathy to answer that. So, Kathy, what's your response to what I just said?
I guess Google is much easier to use. That's why we just use it.
But you have a choice, though. You're not trapped in using Google.
I guess it's self-trap. Just
Wouldn't that be
trapping yourself.
So that would be your own responsibility of doing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you? I'm gonna give everybody opportunity to respond to that. But what do you think? Should government step in and break up the dominance, or would that hurt innovation?
I don't think they should do anything. It should stay like that.
So you don't think the government should step in
No.
and break up the monopolies?
No.
Jocelyn,
Okay.
talk to me. I know this was your episode. So should government step in? And if they do, would that break up innovation?
In my opinion, I would say the answer is yes, that they should have a regulation, like the government should step in. But the answer is not yes or no. It's like how much regulation they should build. So I think that the valuation can stop monopolies. Like, for example, it can give some startup companies a chance to grow their business. And so when the government set the regulations, those big techs, they have to take things seriously, especially when they're talking about protecting our privacy and our rights, like users' privacy and rights. So if they have regulations, the companies like Google or Meta, Apple's, if we don't have regulations, they have no limits. So they could easily use our information, everywhere they want, and they can dominate everything. So I would say that have a regulation is a must. But according to your questions, like it will break the system, maybe. So I don't think that. I think it's important thing is to create a balance. Yes.
All right. Apple, I want to hear from you real quick about that because I have a response to what Jocelyn said, but I want to hear your opinion on this as well. Do you agree with Jocelyn that it should be regulated?
Yes, I actually agree with that because, the government should regulate it to protect the rights of the people, okay, to ensure the fairness of each national security. But the thing is, of course, they will do that. The government will regulate with transparency, with accountability and collaboration with everyone, global partners. Otherwise, this regulation itself can become another form of unchecked power. On the other hand, if the government step in to regulate those big tech companies, are they protecting us or just replacing another one? In other words, like for example, they are having a bad motives in politics. They can use that. So I agree that yes, maybe it should have a balance to protect the people, but also it shouldn't not use it for the for the politics, because government is still government.
All right. Charity, what do you think?
Okay, I agree to an extent, but if government is trying to come in, the objective will be clear, their motive will be clear, the people will understand what they're trying to do. Because I will cite an example. I can remember when we are all using this social media, they are not paying us. We buy data and all that. All of a sudden, Twitter started the payment aspect of it. Then Facebook followed. So that is a challenge. So if government is coming in with a good objective or motive for the people, I think it will break these big techs we are having now, and other ones can sprung up. I have a few to play as well. Maybe their own features, they might even come up with enticing features as well that people can use in terms of this privacy of a thing. They can, your right will be reserved and it will not be in that public space, or they have the right to use it only then. So I think, yes, government should come in, but in what angle, to what extent? And again, should it be a continuity? Because this present government can come and say they want to do this. The next government that will come may not continue with that. So it will be, the whole thing will be destabilized. So the ideal thing or the main focus is to what extent? Is it something that will be balanced? Is it something that will be continued even after the present government is there? The subsequent one, is it something to be carried on?
All right. Kathy, what's your take on that real quick? Because then I want to respond. So what's your take? Should government step in?
I don't think they should do anything, because even if they step in, we might find some people who just want to continue the same thing in that government. So I guess it's up to the person who is using the browsers or the internet. It's up to you on what you want
We
to.
talking about phones. We talking about Facebook, Google, Meta. We talking about those companies. Do you feel like those companies, should the government step in and mess with how they do business?
No, I don't think they should do that. Because even if they do, they like control everything on their end too.
All right, let me respond to this because I really didn't get a chance to give my opinions on anything yet. I'm going to say this first and foremost, all right, because we all are from different locations all together, all right? So my particular opinion on this is going to be shaped differently than you guys. First and foremost, my opinion is different only because I'm an American and the companies that you guys are speaking of are American companies. All right. Secondly, here in America, we have a lot of freedom and rules that don't apply to us that applies to you guys in your own respective countries. So because of that, that plays a major part on how business can be conducted. Business here in America can be conducted a totally different way than it could be in certain other countries. And because of that, I believe that if the choice is on the platform as well as the government, and I recently would say this because of the simple fact that in the UK, recently, as of like 2 weeks ago, the UK is trying to censor not only, they're censoring YouTube channels, they're censoring different companies, different people who are speaking against the government. They're using, because social media and YouTube is a big platform now, these people are speaking against their governments and reporting their own news, and the UK is cracking down on those people who have these big YouTube channels that are talking against the people, talking against the government. And I want to say earlier this year, the vice president here went to the European Union and gave a speech and lectured them on free speech, and talked to them about, hey, you're not only are these people have the right to do what they're doing, this is also an American company, and you're telling them that they can't utilize their platforms that they have built on the American company's platform. And so it was a major issue in going back and forth. And the thing that I would argue back, if the government's, I think I'm going to agree with some of y'all a little bit. The government should have some say so in what freedoms that people can and can't have in their countries. I would say that's up to the government, and you guys got a choice to leave the place where you live at and move to a place where you have more freedoms, so on and so forth. But I also think it's up to the company too to decide if they want to provide their services and their platforms to your region. If your government is getting out of pocket, then Facebook, let's say use Facebook for instance, if your government is getting too out of pocket, then you people in your area won't be able to use their platform no more and don't use Facebook anymore. I think Facebook should have just as much equal choicing, equal option to choose if they should allow customers in these regions to take advantage of their services if the government is getting too involved. And mainly because in our government here, we are allowed to have freedom of speech, to have freedom to say things. And certain countries don't allow you to have those certain freedoms. And so because of that, that is a problem. You know what I mean? So certain governments' attitude towards certain things may be totally different than the U.S. government. And a lot of times, things that you guys are speaking of in this particular case is about U.S. companies. And so like here, we do have options here. Most of the web browsers that I would use are US-based web browsers. I don't personally care about Google giving me, if I look up something or whatever the case may be, and Google Gemini is giving me a suggestion or whatever the case may be. And yes, it's accurate, but I have the choice to choose if I can. Now, if you're in a place in the world where you don't have a lot of options, then it's up to you to deal with your government and fight for some of the, either fight for the rights or fight for the rights for these companies to have to be able to not be regulated in a way to where, you know what I'm saying, legislation will allow them to allow you to do certain things or turn off certain things, so on and so forth. But then you still leave it up to the company if they want to provide services to the areas that you're in. Kathy, what do you think about what I'm saying?
Okay, as much as we have a choice to choose like the browser we want to use, it's up to the person. It's not up to the government. And actually, here in Kenya, there are things you people in US can access, and us people in Kenya we can't access. So I guess also it's up to the government, the rules, the regulations they have put in place to use those, the social media stuff.
Jocelyn, what do you think? You disagree?
I want to take an example of a long time ago, because when I'm preparing for this recording, I searched something online, and it's a antitrust cases in 1990s. I'm not sure which years, but it's a thing about Microsoft. So I think that is an example of antitrust is antitrust's benefit for the whole societies. So
Where was the case? Where was the case being? Where was the case recorded at, or where was the case being held at? In what jurisdiction?
Okay, so this case is about in the 1990s, Microsoft is dominate the computer world. So Windows
In what
operates
country, though?
in what country? Most of the
Yeah, that's
country
what
who
I'm
has
asking.
internet. Yeah, because I think that's a majority things that everyone on the planet should admit that, except some specific countries like China or other country, they have a serious government that won't allow their residents to use internet. Unless those countries, Microsoft was the majority, and Windows is the majority systems of the internet. Is that correct, in your opinion?
No.
Really?
Yes. And the reason why I specifically asked the question that I'm asking, because again, the reason why I'm asking the question, I'm not familiar with the law there, or the law that you're speaking of in regards to Microsoft, and it being a monopoly over a dominant area. But I do go back to, I refer back to the statement that I made, that our laws are totally different in each country. That's, to me, very important when phrasing the conversation, because here in America, we have laws put in place where a company can't monopolize, right? You have to have choice here in America. So, like here, I used to work for AT&T back in the day. AT&T was starting to monopolize, meaning they was taking over infrastructure for telephone, TV, and so on and so forth, just like how you saying Microsoft did. But so the government gave them an option to break up. So I know a little bit after 9/11, AT&T broke up into 5 different small companies: AT&T Wireless, AT&T Broadband, AT&T Prepaid. It was a whole bunch of different now. So AT&T is separate entities that used to be all under one telecom. You know what I mean? With laying down the pipes and stuff in the ocean for the internet to be ran. All of that stuff all was under one monopoly at one point in time. Now, here we have so many other companies that technical companies that allow you to you have options to choose. Now, I don't know how it is set up in, let's say, the Philippines. I don't know if there's a monopoly out there where it's only one country. I mean, it's only one company that everybody uses and they dominate the market. I don't know the rules and regulations that they have in the Philippines or in Nigeria or in Kenya or in Taiwan. I know here in America that doesn't happen that often, because you are given options and they're forced to give options, because once they recognize that there's a monopoly or it's about to be a monopoly, there is a change. So that's why where the court matter is taking place is important, because I don't know if that issue is an American issue. I don't know if I'm making sense to you, and am I? To all of y'all?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll go back. So Apple has an ecosystem, right? You choose if you want to be trapped in Apple's ecosystem or not. That's your choice, though. You do have. I know a lot of people right now who's trapped in Apple's ecosystem. One of the reasons why I'm not trapped in Apple's ecosystem, I respect Apple's products. Apple products are amazing. You know what I mean? But you're trapped in the Apple ecosystem. If you have an Apple phone, if you have a Apple computer, if you have like, but you make the choice to do that. You know what I mean? And for me, as a person who live stream and is in technology, there's advantages to being in the Apple ecosystem, but there's also disadvantages in being in the Apple ecosystem. It really depends on what you do. I'm blessed enough to be in a area where a part of the world where we have the freedoms and the choices to choose that. So Apple was not necessarily, even if it is thrown in my face, I have the option to ignore it. You know what I mean? It's not that serious, especially it being a American product. And our mindset here is totally different. Like right now, I could sit here and tell you I have a 4K switcher that's from China. On a normal basis, here in America, our mindset would be even if it's a Chinese product that's amazing, most people mindset is if you buy anything from China, it's going to break. It's not official. You know what I mean? That's the mindset we have here, from experience and things of that nature. Just dealing with products. So there would never, like here in America, I'll give you now, right now, today as we speak, DJI is a drone company. America banned them because here in America they're banned for drones because they're dominating the market and not allowing other companies to be able to compete. But that's how it is here in America. I don't know how it is in other countries. Other countries may not matter. And a lot of people here, the consumers are upset, right? The consumers here are upset because they're like, yo, we like DJI, we support DJI, we support their products and everything else. But the government here was like, no, we're not with that. Just like TikTok. America wants to ban TikTok. You know what I mean? Why? Because of the effect that it has on the youth and stuff here. I meet a lot of people now. One of the things that people do right now when they say the same company that owns TikTok owns what's the software program that a lot of people use for social media to edit?
CapCut?
CapCut. Yeah. CapCut. Here in America, people don't use CapCut that much because CapCut has in their laws, their bylaws, when you read their statements and stuff, that whatever you use on their platform, they have a license to use it as well. So that means if you edit anything on that footage, they can use it as marketing material without you even having. So I would never use CapCut for any serious editing. You know what I mean? And that's the law that they put in place for them as a company. You know what I'm saying? And if enough people here in America complain about it, CapCut will be banned too. You know what I mean? But I think the government should listen to these companies and listen to their citizens and see what they want. So I'm not against the government regulating and stepping in, but I'm also, like here in America, I don't have a problem with how America handles certain things, because here in America we have freedom to choose different providers, and we don't allow companies to come in and monopolize. Even though, for instance, DJI, nobody wants to buy an American drone here. It's like, even though there are American drones, everybody wants DJI because the name it comes, but unfortunately, because of how it is here, DJI is not allowed to dominate the market. Now, you could buy a DJI camera, or you could buy a DJI this, that, and the third, but drones, that's an issue. But DJI doesn't control the market here for cameras, you know what I mean? But for drones, everybody, if anybody's going to use a drone, it's like, you're not cool if you don't have a DJI drone. if you come up with an American drone, in our minds, using an American drone is the same way we look at using Chinese products to a certain degree, even though DJI is a Chinese product. You know what I mean? But DJI has a reputable name, and you know, people use it. I don't. So I don't know. Like I said, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Jocelyn, but I don't know what you're speaking of when you say Microsoft. I don't. Here in America, Microsoft, I would tell you, you can buy a Microsoft computer. Sometimes the Microsoft computers are cheap. Sometimes they're expensive. You can't buy an Apple computer and it be super cheap. Like, you got to spend money if you're going to buy a Mac. But people will buy it. There's advantages. Like, again, you get trapped in the Mac ecosystem. With Macs, you can't break the Mac down and change the graphics card out or do certain things. You know what I mean? With a PC, you could. I can buy a cheap computer and turn it into a powerful computer. I could take the parts out of it. I can mess around and, you know, turn it into a gaming PC. I can't do that with a Mac. So with Mac, you choose to be in an ecosystem and you stuck with what you got until you go buy a new one. Those are the choices. If you want, you could buy a Linux computer here. You know what I mean? If you want a laptop, but you don't really want the bells and whistles, you can get a Google Chromebook here. Now, we have those type of options, and people choose those type of things. You know what I mean? I don't know how it is there in you guys' market. For me, I would love to understand that. You know, understand what the difference is between the two. But go if you don't mind. I like I said, we only got 10 minutes. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jocelyn. I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and talk about the antitrust case that against Microsoft real quick. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. So, so this case is basically about that Microsoft change its business practice. So they include a browser choice screen and which allow users to easily select a different browser. That's the end of this story. So, but I want to say that
Where was the case? Hold on, I'm sorry. Where was the case held at, though? What country was it in?
the U.S. government. This case is happened in U.S.
Gotcha. So it's the U.S. government, but that doesn't mean that, let's say in Taiwan, that your government regulated them to be able to say that they have to use that, you know, offer another browser instead or whatever the case may be. The U.S. has installed that. So that's the reason why I brought up the case. I brought up here in America, we have these things in place where you have to have options. But let's say in Taiwan, if everybody used Google, then it is a monopoly. Yeah, your country can regulate it, but if y'all don't have other options, then that's not Google's fault. That's not your government fault either. But you guys have different laws in your country that's totally different than the laws here.
But I guess that's why I think that's an advantage of antitrust, because when they do this thing to Microsoft, they set a regulation to it, and after a few years, the Apple came out. So that's kind of a helping them to build another browser, Safari. So
I agree with you. So, but this is my question to you. And this is my question to Charity, Apple, and Kathy. Because what you just brought up and what you stated was something that happened in America. And even though it happened in America, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same for you in your country. So if we talk about antitrust laws, what are the antitrust laws in, let's say, Taiwan that regulated some of these companies, these American companies, because right now we're talking about these American companies that are monopolizing. Let's go back and let's say this. Android is not an American company. There's a lot of people that use Androids. I was just talking to Charity earlier today. She said in Africa, everybody has more of an Android than an Apple phone. Am I correct?
Yeah.
All right, so my question then is, what are your government doing to make sure that Android doesn't have a monopoly in your country? What are the laws? What are the court findings or hearings that you have to make sure that Android is not monopolizing in your countries? Those are the questions, because I don't know if it's fair to put America in this particular situation when our laws and everything are totally different. We have installed in place that our company cannot monopolize. And I think that's one of the reasons why my country here leads in technology in certain areas, because we don't allow we encourage innovation and we don't allow for companies to monopolize here. And that been like that from day one, from my birth, you know. So that's U.S. history in itself. There's other things that I can bring up, from liquor to like, we have brands that have to like, you can't have a monopoly here. You have to compete with other brands. They have to be, if there's a clothing designer, there has to be another clothing designer that can compete with that clothing designer. That doesn't necessarily mean that that clothing designer is going to be the best, but you don't have the opportunity to completely monopolize. So for you in the Philippines, Apple, is Android like the dominant? So what is your country doing to make sure that they don't monopolize? What options do you guys have for phone providers? I'm asking you, Apple.
Okay. Well, here we have, of course, Android and Apple, but those two are differ in your status. You know, when you say Apple, it's either cell phone, either MacBook, iPad, everything. It's The price is so high compared to the Android. Okay, so Apple here is a status symbol. So when you go to for example, when you go to Starbucks and you have an Apple iPhone, the latest one, iPhone 16 Pro Max, the status symbol is there because you can afford. And those people using Android, it's like, oh, that's more cheaper than the Apple. It's like, uh, have you heard? I don't know if you heard the news here that the first day that iPhone 16 Pro Max released here in the Philippines, it has a long queue. It has a long queue because Apple now, it is not just an item that you can that help your everyday lives. It is also a status symbol here in Philippines. But for me personally, either you're using Android or Apple, as long as it gives you productivity, it gives you the confidence to, the easiest way to produce more. It's no longer
Can,
more about Apple or Android, but
can I
yeah.
interject though?
Yeah.
Is it the same in y'all countries as well? Like
Yeah,
having an iPhone as a status symbol?
yeah. For here in
Kind.
Kenya, it is.
See, because it's not like that here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
But
here
let me
it
ask.
is.
So Apple. I mean, yeah, Apple is having a. Do you feel like Apple, or do you feel like Android has a dominance?
You know, for me, it depends. But you know what? Since technologies are rising very fast, here in Philippines, it also monopolizing the technology. Even we have so many blogger. We have a blogger for the food, for the tech, for everything now, and they can share it through Meta, through Facebook, through TikTok, through Instagram, and they can earn more with that. So they are using that for money. Now people are using Apple Apple products because not just for the status symbol, but it has a good specs. It has a good reputation that, oh, it is more. remember the time that we we had last Monday that I am using my phone over my laptop?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm using my phone. It's a brighter face compared to the to the laptop, remember? So people now using comfort, people using it because oh, I'm beautiful here. Oh, it's easy it's easy for me to handle it because it's cell phone. I compared to my laptop, I'm using Android. So, some people, depends on the people, but for me, if you are asking me, yeah, Apple here is a status symbol, and
All
you
right.
know what? Yeah.
Let me change for a minute. I want to ask this question real quick. Facebook, is it big in
Okay.
your country? Philippines?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Eh, Charity, is Facebook big in your country?
Yes.
Yes. Kathy, is Facebook big in your country?
Yeah.
Is it? Excuse me. Is Facebook big in Taiwan?
Kind of.
What is it? What is kind of?
I mean, the younger generation, they prefer to use Instagram and Threads instead of
Okay.
Facebook. Yeah, but still in
Okay.
Meta.
Gotcha. Is Apple is outside of Facebook? Is there any other platform that's big in your country?
Yes.
Yeah.
TikTok.
What is
TikTok.
the TikTok? Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Jocelyn? What's the next big platform?
Mm, maybe ranking number third. Yeah, after Instagram and Threads, the number three will be TikTok.
Okay. Instagram and Threads is owned by Meta, though. All right. Kathy, what about you? In your country, what's the major platform?
TikTok.
Okay. What about you, Charity?
I said TikTok followed by Snapchat.
Snapchat? Y'all still use Snapchat?
Yeah.
Yeah, though I'm
Wow.
not active there.
That's crazy. I don't even know anybody who use Snapchat anymore. But maybe
Oh.
I'm aged out. I don't know. I don't know anybody who Snapchat though. All right, but cool. Let me ask. Now, my last question for y'all before we go. In TikTok for the Philippines, do you feel like TikTok has a monopoly?
Yes, I can say, because as you mentioned earlier, Philippines are not like the other companies. Like here in Asian, TikTok here in Philippines are not like TikToks in China. TikToks in China, they are using it for education. So if you're from Philippines and go to China, then you cannot use TikTok as social media. Here in
All right.
Philippines, you can browse everything, you can see everything in TikTok, and you can sell in TikTok. That's why it's more
Well,
co- convenient to the people.
gotcha. Let me ask one more question for you. In TikTok, what is the biggest region that gets the most air in your country on TikTok?
Sorry, what's the most rigid?
The biggest region. So when you get suggestions, whenever they propose different videos, what region of the world are they promoting these videos from?
I think it's for more of an entertainment. You
I
know,
know,
you,
but
you'll see you'll see dancing people, you'll
I
see.
understand what you're saying, but I'm asking a specific question. I'm asking you what region of the world are there, like are they showing people from the Philippines? Are they showing people from Europe? Are
Oh,
they showing from
yeah.
America, South America? What region of the world is being put in your face
Yeah.
on
More of
TikTok?
More of Filipinos.
Okay, cool. For you, Jocelyn,
Use TikTok because because I live in
amazing.
Taiwan. So, because TikTok is an app from China, so it's kind of sensitive for to use a China app due to our political issue.
Say less. I'm on the same page as you. I got you. Um, what about what about you, Charity?
A lot of us here use TikTok mostly for content creation. Most people that are into skits. So because they use, especially use, they use it to do skits a lot.
Gotcha. Do you feel like they have a monopoly in your country, TikTok?
Yeah, they have the monopoly. Like what I said, everybody is, even if everybody is on TikTok now, they want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. Even if, in fact, even if it's just to even go shirtless, do a lot of things to drive traffic, they will do it. So everybody is there to make money. That is it. So
Gotcha.
they are not going to another platform rather than that one.
All right. What region of the world do they promote the most on TikTok for you?
Nigerians,
Nigerians?
yeah.
Mainly they show Nigerians in TikTok for you?
Yeah, and some African countries.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. What about you, Kathy? Real quick.
Okay, for me, my algorithm shows me the US content. And if I
Hmm.
want to see people from my country, I have to go to the friends, the people I follow, the people follow me. But for the For You page, for me, mostly it's the US content. I don't know why.
Do you feel like TikTok has a monopoly in Kenya?
Yeah, they do.
See, that's the reason why, and this is the reason why I'm asking the question, because again, here in America, TikTok is the government is pushing to ban TikTok for for a couple of reasons. A, because it is trying to become a monopoly, and B, a lot of times TikTok will show stupidness to make y'all think that this is how it is in America, and it's not. So other parts of the world, yeah, you have psycho people on TikTok who do psycho things, and then people in the world, people from other places will be like, oh, see, that's how Americans act. And I believe me and Kathy had a conversation earlier this year about this, you know what I mean, with news and things of that nature, where she's like, oh, in LA, there was a whole bunch of fires and this, that, and the third, and they're talking about this. And I'm like, yeah, ain't nobody here talking about that like that. It's not a big deal. But oh, it's on TikTok. It's also, and I'm like, yo, here, I'll show you the news now. And I showed her, and it's like, yo, it's not that serious. Like how you making it. You know what I'm saying? Or I've seen people have debates and argue. Another thing, I know was big. Like Black Americans don't know where they're from. There was a big controversy about that, and Americans arguing with Africans because Africans, you know what I'm saying? And it was a big thing about that on
Yeah.
TikTok and stuff like that. Like, and that's the reason why the government wants to ban TikTok, because they're like, yo, this is fugazi, you know what I mean? It's not it. You know what I'm saying? And I know that for the, I don't know, week or two, I'm gonna ask you, Kathy, real quick, because you was the person that said that you got American content. For the 1 week or so that TikTok was banned, TikTok was dead for that 1 week if Americans wasn't on it. True or false?
True.
That's the reason why, you know what I mean, they want to, they want to do that. But yeah, Americans was beefing with Africans and Americans was beefing with the UK. There's mad YouTube videos out there with guys arguing with Africans, or Africans calling up on live TikTok shows arguing because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's entertaining to watch, but sometimes I'm sitting there like, yo, I don't have the time to sit here and argue with y'all about something that's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why the person is doing it. But anyway, my whole point that I brought that up is because all of y'all said that TikTok is monopolizing in your countries, but your governments are not doing anything about it. And that's the thing that I wanted to point out here in my country, the U.S., the government is trying to ban TikTok from having a monopoly. And that is the difference. And that's why I'm saying to y'all that, the government and how they respond and how they react in certain things is totally different in each place. So you got to also keep that in mind. Final words as I let y'all go. Kathy, I'm going to start with you. You got anything you want to say? Give a shout out to anybody?
Want to give a shout out to my sister who is currently waiting for this episode. Yeah.
She could have listened to it already. She could have been listening to it right now as we go, but next time.
Okay.
Charity, you want to give a shout out to anybody? You want to have any final words?
Thank you to everybody that has been listening to us. It's nice being here. I think we'll come again next time.
Apple, any final words? Any shout outs?
Shout out to everyone who's listening to this, and I hope you enjoy listening to us, and to more to come.
Nice. I saved the creator of this episode for last. Jocelyn, any final words you want to say on this particular topic, being that this was one that touched your heart?
Okay. Shout out to you guys for having me here, and I have so much fun for recording this episode, so thank you so much.
All right, we signing out. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Real Talk. We're going to start bringing the reactions, the news, the tech. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to get the rest of the panel on the show, and we're going to do our thing. I thank y'all for listening. I'm your host, Aaron Robinson, and we signing off. Holla at your boy. We out of here.